All right, y'all, part 2 on Noah's flood and the bankruptcy of America and the flood of currency coming and those types of things, okay? So as America goes into a time where it can't pay for its own war, the men will have that Bud Light situation, and that Bud Light situation is, hey, buddy, let's go light these guys up and have that MAGA scene, okay? So we got into the war and such on the part 1 and the millennial kingdom being set up in different ways in these times, but we're in those 75 days we're told about in Daniel. It's the 30 and 45 days, and we've been tracking the 45-day discrepancies, and all these things align with as the tribulation is ending. We've been signaled the end of tribulation when Dawn's put on the cross and such, but as these things are ending, and also Elon went live at the border. That's a signal of a tribulational sign or whatever. But as all these things are stacking up, okay, you have the tribulation that has to end, and it has to break open the great tribulation and the Lord's wrath and such. So that's where you have right now, okay? So then when you get to the 89 and the 90 mark, 89 is the 1/8/24 mark, but in the January time frame, you're going to have us take into that new time machine, so-called, when America's being burned and different aspects, okay? So as the foreheads are being seared, the men that you've either gathered as the armies and you got that firearm there, and that's going to go for that band of marriage in the next 90 days and let people know what's happened or whatever, and it's going to help wake up that zombie nation in different ways. But there's just different things stacking, okay, folks? So the bigger the city, the harder the fall, okay? And also realize there's different, we see like the setup of against Trump now with Colorado and such, where they're talking about not putting them on the ballot, okay? So I can see like a lot of the Republicans per se, or the people who support Trump or whatever, this would cause them to leave their state and go home, right? Or a lot of these older boomers or whatever, they leave the cold areas or like Colorado area and they go to the warmer area, and then they would be stuck down there from then on because they're not going to go back to where Trump's not supported, that kind of thing, okay? And they just, either way, there's different things setting up, all right? So, from 9/29, when the 45-day stopgap, okay, on the American debt or whatever, okay, since then, we have been told America can't pay its debt, and we've seen different things stacking up, okay? So 30 days after that was 10/29. That was the weekend of the partial lunar eclipse. We saw that was the weekend of the financial bomb when they said we can't pay our debt. And that ties into the 30 and 45 days that equal the 75 days on the Daniel stuff, okay? So, then we saw the Halloween shootings, the two of them, Florida and Indiana, the Indiana and the Indians and all that stuff that ties for the bread for the dawn and stuff. The Indian bread, the non, either way. So that was also the weekend of the firearm export ban or whatever they're doing, okay? And that lasts the 90 days. So all these things are showing us, and that 9 is the 45, so that's connecting us to a 45 there, all right? The 40 days after that, which ties to the flood, okay? The flood lasted 40 days and 40 nights. I don't know if that's 40 days and 40 nights together, or if it's like 40 days of like crazy news and then 40 nights of crazy news or whatever, right? But which makes the 80 days. But either way, that 40 days and 40 nights, also the 44, and Barry's the 44, and Trump is the 44 also. So Obama is the 44 exposed, and Trump is the 44 hidden. All right. that ties to the flood. So that equals 11/8, and that's coming up for November 8. And also 2023, the 2 times 3 equals 6, plus the 2, that's an 8. So this is why this is a time machine year or whatever. It's an 8, and then you get to a certain time where Biden on 11/20, he turns 81, which connects us to Elvis at 80. 818 on his 89th birthday. So all these are like 88 time cycles getting us into that 89. Okay, so this is when the currency or whatever, that financial bomb, that money bomb or whatever, can come on 11/13 in a matter of speaking, to where you have that Thanksgiving where you're not thanks, but you're thinking. You're thanking. Okay? Anyways, but you'd have it maybe set up for Christmas or all these different things, okay? But we can just see it stacking up and how it can be stacking. But the digital currency, it may have some troubles or whatever, but it's not going to be as like the petrodollar, okay? And then you're going to have the alt currencies come in. I think the alt currencies are going to play a role in a way to take us from one time to another time, okay? And those who invested in the alt currencies will either be lucky or you knew about it or whatever, okay? Either way. So, 45 days after the 9/29 is 11/13, okay? And that's 240 days after 3/18, which ties to the 128 also, but that 3/18 ties to the start of the Daniel's 70 weeks when Trump was started bearing the cross in a matter of speaking. All right, he started walking up the hill, and then now we got to that hill, or he's been put on that cross. That hill's been shown. Jack's going over the hill. All those things, right? So Easter is also on 3/31/24 this year, which is a 2-3 date or whatever, but that's also stacking into that March Madness and the high holiday for the 420, and then that May Day for May, and the 530 birth for the 280-day birth on the Messiah. And then while speaking of Messiah, you get the Mesopotamia, and some scholars teach that the flood story is from Mesopotamia and the Old Babylon, which ties to 1880, the 88, and then the 1595, which is the 45 split, and the 45 in the middle, the king and all those things, but that was in the BC. Anyways, and then you have the Mount Ararat with the 2 witnesses, with Donald Trump being called as witness and Ivanka being called as witness, those types of things. That's kind of tied to the Ararat, because that's going to be tied to the 2 witnesses, and they may have 2 witnesses per trial or however they do it, but 2 witnesses will come to probably break down Trump and then to build Trump up and different things, okay? And then you have the flood lasting 371 days. That's the 777 in code. And then also that's 1 year, 11 days. So that's the 111. So either way. So from 11/13/23, we're told the 7 months and 17 days with the Noah's flood. And then you can have the 7 months, the months, okay? 7 months, 7 Mondays from the 11/13 would be 12/31/23, which is the 1-2-3-1-2-3, okay? And that is going to be a big combination day, and that can be like when the ball drops in a matter of speaking. And that could be, so anyways, so from 12/31/23, you have 17 days after that, which is what? 1/17/24. Okay? So that's the 7/11. The other count on that is from 11/23/23. The 7 months and 17 days is the 6/30 24, and the 6:30 is the time that you might have to work late, in a matter of speaking. And it's also the 6:3 and the 2:4. Those break down and wherever, okay? But try and keep these short and sweet, folks. It's easier to do the math on paper so y'all can see it, all right? But I'll be putting all these NOAA numbers up in one way, shape, or form, or posting the notes or whatever, so y'all can track it down and whatever, all right? But either way, so the flood lasted for, it says flood lasted for 40 days, all right? There's the 440, okay? The 440 is tied to the General Lee and such, the Charger, or Charger. And then I get my Charger and Challenger mixed up sometimes. And then you got it, water prevailed on, that's to prevail dawn, all right, on Earth for 150 days, all right? And the 50 ties to the 15 days with the crown, all right? So then you have from 920, what is it? I had one thing with it. Oh, the lunar eclipse, 15 days from the lunar eclipse, you have 11/13/24. All right, so that'd be 15 days with the crown or the ring for that ring of fire and such, or either way, that's for the bride. But either way, so the 415 and the 44, those can connect to the 45 days. So that's where you can get the 929 plus the 45 days, and then you have the 11/13, and then you have from 7 months, 17 days on the 929. Just connect the Noah's flood from there too, because that could be tied to another money day. You have the 5/16/24, which is tied to a May day, and that also equals in code form the 6, the 5/1/6/6, or on the 16, and then the 2/4, the 6. Okay, so you have a 666 there. So I think that might be it. And then also the money, the government adverting the government shutdown with a stopgap, that was voted 335. That's to 2-3 to the 5. Okay, and then the 35 and the 2 3s and the 5 equal an 88. Also broke up a certain way, and then you can the way you track the math or whatever. How you speak, it would be like you either add dings or you subtract or whatever. Oh, and then today you have behind the shadows from the 10/19 and 10/20 date when the 2020 vision was shown on the headlines, and then Blinken was in the shadows, and Biden just got done talking to Netanyahu. Today's the 45 days on that, on 11/3, and he's out of the shadows. And then you have today, the Israel got the subterranean tunnels or whatever from whatever the Gaza or whatever. So you have the sub attack and whatever, because the Fox has gone under the tunnels, in a matter of speaking. And we can see this with that one cartoon, The Incredible Mr. Fox or Fantastic Fox or whatever. Anyways, he tunnels under, he sets the bombs under, and then the boom comes under and brings it down. But this is where you can get like bombs could be set up in the sewers or in the like underground cities or tunnels of like Dallas or whatever, and just bring down the whole place or whatever. But or like Atlanta or whatever cities have underground cities, all right, or sewers. So there's all kinds of things setting up, and our infrastructure's open, and you have the 40 days and 40 nights of the flood waters coming now, and you have the millennial kingdom being set up now. The millennial kingdom is set up, so the millennials have a place to go, because all the others are all fucked up in the head and shit. They're all based on evil intentions and all weird stuff going on, but either way, we'll end it here.